First of all, we got to consider that this person at the door could potentially be a woman. There are some camera angles. When you watch that start to finish, there is something crazy when you can see this person come closer to a light that's reflecting back onto the face. And I'm telling you, I think we have to consider that that person could be potentially a female. Okay, so just keep that in consideration. What Nancy continually shows me, there were only 2 people in the house. Okay, we know that one person's trying to come in the front door only to fuck with that camera. Okay, I'm telling you on a clairvoyant level, when I'm just looking at why the heck you're there, I know it's like it can be obvious, but that person is not concerned about being seen on that camera. They're very well covered. What they are trying to prevent is what is coming out of the front door. They don't want you seeing what's coming out the front door. So I know there are theories with the back door, but I'm telling you, they were always planning to come out the front door, period. And I'm not seeing anything different. They were always coming out the front door. Okay. And this is another great reason when you realize you have to also look at that front door and look at that video again. You know how there's an arch of brick? You're going to notice that the front door assailant goes back and forth to get that foliage to cover the camera. What is particular interest to me is there's one moment that that person's coming in through the arch. Okay, and this is their head. Now, sure, you're going through a passageway. Yeah, maybe you have to duck a little with your head, right? Just a little. But you will see one part of that video where they have leveled themselves out practically. Okay, it's not just their head that's ducking a little. The whole body ducks, which changes perspective. If you had a camera that is still seeing that archway, that is one great time. If that assailant is right in that archway, you're going to get a pretty great proximity of how tall they truly are. Because anyone who's a photographer will tell you, you can line people up with distance from your camera, okay? Look at me, okay? But do you see my real size? There's a certain, okay, when that person, I was analyzing that the other night clairvoyantly. And what they showed me is that front door assailant distinctly has been doing time. That person has done time. That's the message. And I know people speculate that maybe this was a burglary gone wrong and Okay. You sometimes have to trust the collective consciousness. Maybe all of the people tuning into this aren't psychics. We're not all, you guys aren't all psychics, but listen to the collective consciousness. Why all of a sudden is burglary considered? Well, come on, there is a break-in and the guy looks like he's a burglar. So that's obvious just on visual. But what if you guys are picking up, not that it was a burglary, it's burglary, but what if you're kind of picking up that energy that it is a burglar by trade who's trying to move up in his crime repertoire? Because sooner or later, if you're in a life of crime, sometimes you are staying in that life of crime. Sometimes that's it. Okay, so my clairvoyant hit on that front door person, possibly female, possibly male, did time, was a burglar, and I feel very proficient as a burglar, but still got caught. And the reason I'm saying this person, he or she, was definitely purposely dropping through that archway. They were not going to hit that archway. They were dropping through the archway because their height You know, in the US of A, you know this for sure. I've been in the USA, I'm from Canada, and I know even in New York, remember the old New Yorker days where crime was crime and crime and crime on crime on crime, and everybody was hitting gas stations and corner stores. What started to happen? People put the measuring tape on the inside of the establishment. So when people are robbing you and running out, you're seeing a close proximity of their height against comparison to that measuring tape. So that's how clairvoyantly that came forward all of a sudden on the edge of those brick walls as he was walking through there all of a sudden. And this is where I will never get bored of my life calling, because you would think that 30 years into doing this, it gets boring. It never gets boring. And you know what? I advocate for mediumship, especially being used to solve murders and cases, because if you truly find someone that's really tuned in, you can save so much time. So that person has done time, caught ya, and I believe, I would love to know in the future when this is solved if that's very true. Okay, so